I've pitted the MAFEX Black Costume Spider-Man against the Marvel Legends Retro card. I've pitted the Marvel Legends Secret Wars against other Marvel Legends. Today, MAFEX and Secret Wars go toe-to-toe to determine which Symbiote Spider-Man is the best Black Costume Spidey for your display. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Having already done a Black Costume Marvel Legends MAFEX face-off, you might be wondering why I'm doing another one. The Retro card's a fun figure, but a lot bigger and bulkier than MAFEX, whereas Secret Wars has a much more similar build, similarly softer musculature, and pinless joints, making it feel like a fairer comparison. Starting with the packaging, and both figures have been approached very differently. Legends comes in a blister card modeled off the 1984 Mattel line. Flipping around back, we get some artwork, a short bio, all the available figures in the wave, and some instructions for his shield. MAFEX is in a collector-friendly window box. Over a year later, and I still have no idea why it says Double Trouble, but in addition to lots of logos, it's also got some really nice figure photography. We see more of it on the sides and on the back. Speaking of backs, the box even shows you what the back of the figure looks like. Not to mention this teddy bear accidentally witnessing one of his father's sketchy business dealings. Both boxes took effort, but have different objectives. Legends is a great slice of nostalgia, but Medicom is a great showcase of the figure. For packaging, this round goes to MAFEX. Moving on to presentation, and both figures are about 6 inches, or thereabouts 15 centimeters, with MAFEX being ever so slightly taller. MAFEX was modeled off the classic comic version, but retooled. Gone are the etched-in web lines, and in their place the sculpted outline of a large, sinister spider, with the upper legs being the only part that matches 100%. Secret Wars, by contrast, is mainly just a repaint of Amazing Fantasy 15, with the only sculpted differences being that they filled in the holes for the web wings, and of course gave him a new head. Beyond that, all his details have been painted on. Side by side, the heads are similar, with both having oversized eyes and a bit of furrowing at the brow. The head on MAFEX, however, is a bit larger, which does speak to one thing I do prefer about Secret Wars over MAFEX: the proportions. By and large, Secret Wars cuts a nice natural silhouette, whereas the hands and feet on MAFEX are a bit small and the head is a bit big. Additionally, the cuts for articulation draw a lot more attention to themselves. One area where MAFEX excels, however, is in the paint. Secret Wars is a solid black body with some white paint, and if you look at the spider, you can see that the white is actually warmer on the chest piece than the abdomen. Again, not only did MAFEX go the extra mile to sculpt the spider, but the white matches all around. Flipping them both around, and MAFEX is definitely cleaner on the back, but both figures do have their issues. Secret Wars, though, maybe a bit more so. Another nice feature of MAFEX is a subtle dark blue airbrushing to add a sense of depth. They also painted the bottoms of his feet blue. Notice, though, that they don't give him peg holes. MAFEX also sculpted the outlines for the white patch on the back of his hands, whereas Legends is simply painted. In Legends' defense, simply painting the details means you're not competing against sculpted outlines, because as good as MAFEX is, where it doesn't quite fill in correctly stands out a lot more. MAFEX has more sculpted detail and is a higher quality plastic, plus I really do like that subtle blue airbrushing, but Secret Wars has cleaner paint apps, more natural proportions, and does a better job of integrating the articulation into the sculpt. For presentation, this round goes to Legends. Moving on to Poseability, and Secret Wars' head is on a ball joint and a disc swivel, whereas MAFEX is on a dumbbell joint with an extra bend in it for range, and an additional ball joint at the base of the neck. Despite that extra joint, though, and both figures can look up the same amount, and also look down the same amount, though I do think that MAFEX maybe looks a bit more natural. MAFEX also gets tilt, Secret Wars not so much, but both can look all the way around. Moving down, and both Spider-Men have an equivalent arm raise, but while Secret Wars merely has a butterfly that allows for forward and back, MAFEX has a rotator cuff that allows for complete range. Oh. Good as new! No difference in bicep swivel. They have pinless, double-jointed elbows with very deep bends. I think MAFEX might be a bit deeper though, but that's only because his arms are skinnier. Secret Wars' wrists can only swivel and hinge up and down, but MAFEX has wrist balls, meaning that in addition to swivel, they can hinge in any direction. One of the most exciting differences though is the torso articulation. MAFEX has a diaphragm joint and a ball-jointed waist, whereas Legends has a diaphragm joint and a reverse ab crunch. The arch back is amazing, with MAFEX being ever so deeper, but hunching forward is no contest. That said, MAFEX has a much deeper and more natural tilt, as well as swivel at both the waist and the diaphragm, whereas Legends only has swivel at the diaphragm. Below the waist and both figures have ball-jointed hips, but MAFEX's are on drop-down hinges. Both kick really high, but MAFEX definitely has the edge, though their split seems to be the same. MAFEX does have swivel in the hip, while Secret Wars has just a straightforward thigh cut. MAFEX definitely looks better, but Legends has the better range. Though it could be argued an action figure doesn't need to be able to do this since a human being can't. Well, not without having to go to the hospital. Once again, and both figures have pinless double-jointed knees, and their bends are pretty much the same, but while MAFEX has toe articulation, Legends does not, but he does have boot cut. MAFEX doesn't really need that though, because he has ankle balls that allow for swivel, but both can hinge, and like Spider-Man going from red and blue to black and white back to red and blue again once he realized that black and white was an evil alien monster, pivot. Secret Wars is impressive, but for Poseability, this round goes to MAFEX. Moving on to Playability, and throughout the video we've seen that MAFEX has these relaxed hands, but both figures have a set of fists, both have a pair of web-spinning thwip hands, and both have wall crawlers. The difference is that not only does MAFEX have a set of regular wall-crawling hands, he's also got a set of magnetic ones, and if that wasn't enough, he even has alternate magnetic feet. Additionally, MAFEX has a pair of web holding hands to accommodate holding these web lines. MAFEX even has a pair of short web blasts to go around the wrists, along with a pair of long ones. If you have both figures though, you can definitely use them for Marvel Legends as well. For one more web accessory though, and MAFEX has his classic web backpack. The straps have that more spaghetti webbing style, whereas the pack itself almost looks like a set of long johns. It's easy enough to get them over his shoulders without having to pop his arms out, and once again, if you have both figures, Legends can wear it as well. One thing both figures have in common is that each one has an alternate masked head. The alternate MAFEX looks more like the standard head on Secret Wars, while the alternate Secret Wars mask has narrower, more menacing eyes. MAFEX gets the one up again though because it has an alternate Peter Parker head. And not just a head, an alternate neck piece as well. I like that Medicom gave him a 5 o'clock shadow, as he was usually depicted as having one when wearing this costume. In general though, I'm not crazy about the face sculpt, but hey, Legends doesn't have one. Instead, he comes with a lenticular shield similar to the original Secret Wars figure. If you want to though, you can swap it out for this 40th anniversary graphic. Lastly though, MAFEX has a dynamic figure stand, including alternate pieces. As well packed as MAFEX may be, Playability is more than accessories. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. Starting with some other 6-inch Symbiote Spider-Man, and here's the one from Spider-Man Classic. MAFEX reminds me the most of this line. Next is the Red Hulk Wave one we've already looked at, but here's a non-Legends one Hasbro made in 2010, followed of course by Sandman Wave, the retro card MAFEX already battled against, the Ultimate version from the 5-pack, and the cel-shaded animated series style Carnage 2-pack. Otherwise, and for some Spider spreads, and here's Secret Wars with a selection of Spider-Man built off the Pizza Spidey body, and then here's the MAFEX version scaling pretty well. Here's Secret Wars with that same spread, but built off the retro card and Renew Your Vows body, a little bit smaller by comparison. Same thing with the MAFEX version. That said, and as you can see, the Legend scales great with the other MAFEX versions. And then here's the 4 MAFEXs all in a row. Here they are with the Amazing Friends 3-pack version, which shares the same body as Secret Wars. With all this talk of symbiotes though, it seems only fitting to bring out our different Legends Venoms. I don't have the MAFEX one, but as you can see, the MAFEX Spidey looks good with them. As for the Spawn of Venom, and here's MAFEX and Secret Wars betwixt a couple of Carnages, for a Spider-Man villain that's very appropriate for the black suit, but one that I didn't have in my last video, and here's the retro card Kraven, but for the most important black costume Spider-Man villain, and here we have Shocker! Now I realize that this whole thing's mainly just been a Spider-Man size comparison, but for a proper relative scale comparison, and here they are with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here they are with Stealth Iron Man. Oh hey, you remember me. You just seem so caught up in Shocker, I didn't want to interrupt anything. In terms of hands, Secret Wars comes with all the basic ones I think every Legend Spider-Man should. I also really dig that cool creepy alternate head. Had Hasbro Hasbro given him an alternate Peter Parker head instead of a shield like MAFEX, he probably would have been perfect in my opinion. The web effects that MAFEX comes with is a nice addition as well. And while I do mean it when I say that playability is more than accessories, in a case like this, it's kind of hard to ignore. For playability, this round goes to MAFEX. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. MAFEX is no longer available for retail, and on the aftermarket pushes upwards of $200. There is a bootleg by CT Toys available for about $30, but I don't have one, so I can't really vouch for it. I can, however, vouch for Secret Wars, which, if you can find one for retail, is only $24.99. In terms of accessories and craftsmanship, you can't beat the MAFEX. Even so, for price, this round goes to Legends, but the battle goes to MAFEX 3-2. Agree? Disagree? Sound off in the comments below, and for more Black Costume Spider-Man, click on one of these. Until next time, play nice and have fun.